Come in, come in. Okay, what's going on, people? This is a live where I'm going to highlight and show some love to New York City. You know, the greatest city in the world. New York, New York. Big Apple, the city that doesn't sleep. Now, many people never been to New York. Many people been to New York. Many people come to New York for tourist attraction. Many people come to New York for business. Many people come to New York for fashion. Many people come to New York for acting, Broadway plays. And some people come to New York to get record contracts signed, you know. That's not the New York I really want to talk about right now. The New York I want to talk about is the fire hydrant New York, the block party New York, okay? The whether people like Easter or not, coming outside, being fly on Easter, being fly every day. Cause let me put that right there. No matter what part of New York you from, I don't want people to get this twisted. Cause I can't tell the story of New York, where miracle New York, but I don't care whether it's Queens, whether it's the Bronx, whether it's Brooklyn, whether it's Staten Island, whether it's Long Island, whether it's Yonkers, whether it's Mount Vernon, whether it's Westchester, whether it's Rochester. New Yorkers got fly. And if you don't know what fly means, we dress good with style and fashion, okay? Made fashion, made it more than what it was. Okay, New York, like Ralph Lauren, he could have had his little do of making his do, but if it wasn't for the low lives in New York, Ralph Lauren wouldn't be as popular as it is within the urban community and other communities. Ralph Lauren, yeah, Brooklyn low lives push that fashion brand a lot and still do till this day. You know, Tommy Hilfiger, all New Yorkers wore Tommy Hilfiger. Guess, Gap, Old Navy, Carhartt, Polo, said that already, Ralph Lauren, Polo chaps, Jabot, like some of New York, we did lose our flavor of copying off of other states, but the original New Yorkers and original New York flavor, it was just straight out there. You ain't had to copy, because we grew up in times where, yeah, certain people couldn't afford Jordans, certain people did. Certain people, moms afford paying Pro Wings for them in New York. Certain people got Reeboks. But you know what? As a New Yorker, you made it do. You made it look flyer for whatever you had on. You made it look fly, like, you go on the basketball court, you got your basketball sneakers, some good basketball sneakers, whether they Jordans or some Nikes, It's when they had the NBA shorts in the 90s, We had all different type of basketball shorts in the 90s. I remember, I think my first pair of basketball shorts was like $25, you know? but you felt good playing basketball in New York City. You got your fresh pair of shorts on, you got your white socks on, you got your sneakers crispy clean, and you ready to go play. That's New York City for you. You know, the pizza shops in New York City. To me, a lot of people always wanted to go back and forth, but I think they should make this thing again where we should really have a real official test again because they had a lot of contests. But to see who got the best pizza in New York or Chicago, I'm gonna be biased and I'm gonna say us, because like Chicago is Chicago, and they pizza is they pizza. But I would say in New York you could go to all of the boroughs, and whether it's Staten Island or Yonkers or Mount Vernon, Utica, New York, like you could still find good pizza shops in certain places. Like in the Bronx. You get off the train on 241st. You know, boom, you hit that pizza shop right there on Wakefield. You know, like in Brooklyn, all on Fulton. Get off the train on Nostrand Avenue on the C train, and you walk up and down, and you'll find good pizza shops. In Queens, you'll find good pizza shop. In Manhattan, you'll find good pizza shops. Harlem, you'll find good pizza shops. Kennedy's Fried Chicken, that's New York. It's not popular as it used to be in the 90s, but everybody went to Kennedy's Fried Chicken. And even though Chinese food ain't good for you, like Chinese stores in New York was like I don't know, some people treated it like a second home or next room, like Chinese stores in New York, some of the Chinese people and around New York City, it was cool. It was cool people, but that's part of New York too. Our Chinese stores, our Chinese restaurants, our Chinese markets, vegetable stands, that's part of New York. Because that's when I was a little kid, that was the first place I got apples and oranges and mangoes from. Vegetable stand around the corner on 170 and Morris Avenue up the block. Big up, open-minded, big up, man. Nah, you're not late, man. You right on time, man. Like the old people used to say, you right on time, man. You right on time. Just here kicking back and talking about certain things like in New York from the old and even like now, because people forget how great New York is, like I'm never ashamed to say it's the greatest state in America and it's the greatest like place like in America, yeah, people may say like the buildings, the traffic, and the noise, but a lot of us, corner store sandwiches, man, a hero. Come on, man, a hero. We made that famous. New York. That's New York right there. As what I'm talking about. Like some of us got used to the noise. To the noise where it was, I'll say for me, like the noise that was my safekeeping. Like, as I always say, like I'd rather have, like, I could see the noise around me instead of certain people and things being quiet around me, you know? I rather, like, I want to feel and hear, like, what's going on around me, you know, being aware, you know, like, so when things are too quiet, that's when my antennas go up, you know? When you have your peace, that's your peace, but when certain things and certain people are too quiet around you, that's when my antennas go up. Because I always told people, you think that if you get a Bugatti and you park it on 149th and Grand Concourse, or you park that in Beverly Hills, where you think they would rob it quick? You know, like, where, like, some people will say, oh, they'll take that joint off of 149th, you know. But the thing is, and I'm going to say this, if it's more quieter, it's easier for somebody to, you know, like, to take your joint 123, you know, for easy like that, you know. And I ain't gonna even say no more. But, like, even to our subways, you know, like New York City subways in America, don't matter what people say about our train station and our transportation system in New York, excuse me for that, it's famous, okay? Because, come on, I'll just name a couple of trains. The A train, the C train, you know, the D train, the 4 train, the 5 train. Like, these are train stations, the J train, the L, you know, the 2 train, the 3 train, you know, Bronx, you know, shout out to the 6 train, you know, like, these are, okay, let me read your comments, excuse me. Corner store sandwiches hit. Come on. We used to go to the corner store. I used to get lettuce, tomatoes, and cheese because I don't eat meat. You know, I'm a vegetarian. You know, but my friends, they used to get their other joints, you know, put that joint up on their joint. But we had heroes, you had rolls, you know, and that was New York City. I remember when, like, shoot, certain people, what you get, $3.50 for your joint? Corner store. Corner store sandwiches hit. Facts. 4 wings and french fries. Chinese spot. Yeah, I used to get my regular french fries, you know, at the Chinese spot. That noise kept us on point, and that's correct. You know, people, it's very hard for people to understand, like, the difference between, like, noise and quietness in quote unquote the urban community, because that's where some people get themselves caught up and you be around things that you shouldn't be around and things happen to you. Okay. God bless you. The G train. MYCTA was how we got around. You know? And, like, I remember when I was a kid, you know, my mother, I think I was 9 years old when I first started taking the bus by myself. But other than that, my brother had to take me on the bus or the train, or I had to get in a cab, you know, or my father would drive me somewhere, you know. So, but I like going on the train, because going on the train, I learned so much different things, you know, from meeting different people, seeing different things, just observing life as a little kid, you know. So it's an adventure growing up in New York, you know. So that's why I never got it when people would say, like, New York is corny. And to be honest with you, that's why I never got it when I looked at New Yorkers copying off of others, because I always know and I always knew that I'm from New York, and we made people wear what you call Air Force Ones around America. I don't want to hear no nonsense from nobody in America. But we made Air Force Ones, and everybody else around America start putting their different names on it, but the original name was Uptowns. Okay? Then everybody start calling them White Ones, Forces, but the original name was Uptowns. Okay? That's it. Jordans, yeah, we originated making people wear Jordans too, cause I'm gonna tell people this. Cause I'm from Bronx and Brooklyn, and I'm gonna tell the truth. Yeah, that's right, man. Air Force Ones, man, aka Uptowns, man. Well, open minded put AJK. You know, I don't know if I'm okay, aka. I didn't want to confuse your words and mess up anything that you wrote down there. Okay. No, like I remember my first pair of Uptowns. I remember I paid $75 for them. $75 for my first pair of Uptowns, and I don't know. We didn't even really care. Like I'll say, not like everybody else, but like like me and my boy cousins and a couple of my boys, we didn't even really care too much about like Air Force Ones. You put them on once in a while or here and there, but it wasn't like every day because those was easy sneakers to get, and they was like you wear it once in a while. They was like the plain joints, like, and that's where I put it to the joints where I used to like to buy different like Jordans that nobody ain't got. Sometimes I used to be stuck with the same Jordans that everybody got, but I ain't like that. I like to get a different color or a different style, you know? Because it used to look crazy when everybody on the block or everybody in school had the same black and white Jordans on, or everybody had the same white Jordans on, and everybody had the same black Jordans on. And that was the thing back then. Jordans came out, one person got it, next day, 5 people got them. The next day, like 20 people on the block got them. The next day, the whole neighborhood got them. And that's how it went from Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island. Us New Yorkers, and this is probably true facts, we probably wore Jordans more than people that lived in Chicago. And to be real honest, us New Yorkers probably supported Jordan more than any other place in America at that time in the 90s when it came to buying Jordans. Okay, because if I could speak for myself, I was buying Jordans like crazy, you know? And so I know how other people was going, in New York, and I seen it. Because I remember one time when I bought my threes, and I remember when I was living in Brooklyn on Madison between Ralph and Patchen. And I remember I went on Broadway and Gates. They had a sneaker store there. I don't know if it's still there now. Had a record shop there too on Broadway and Gates. Went to the sneaker store. Got my sneakers. But if you really want to be correct, the joint was on Broadway between Ralph and Gates, okay? Now I remember got my sneakers, my threes. Laced them joints up. I remember like probably 5 days later, everybody On Madison had them from little babies to grown dudes into like ladies, and that was New York. Excuse me, let me read open-minded comment. I was 8 on the bus by myself back then. We were more smarter, no cell phones, everybody head down now. We here. We were more at 8 and 9. Yeah, we knew more at 8 and 9 years old. Excuse me for that. You know, no, cause I remember going on the train. Let's talk about that. And like we was kids and shit. Like I remember when I was like probably 11 years old, and me and my little boy cousins, we did reading the map. Cause that was some of my first times going on the train with my boy cousins, and they not knowing where we going, but I'm knowing which stop to get off on. But we still there reading the lines and all that. And I remember you had like it was mandatory. You had to learn how to read that map like ASAP and easy. Whether the C train was coming here, the A train going across there, the J train this way, the C train that way. The certain lines had different colors on them. Like, that was New York. And that still is New York. That's why I say New York don't need to copy off of no place in this world. Because there's even people that came outside of America to come to New York and look at how New Yorkers live. Okay? Because, like, New York is like I will be honest to you to say that New York is like a country by itself. Okay? In America. New York is like a country by itself in America, because I remember when I was a teenager, you had people coming from down south buying clothes, taking it back down to the south and selling it for $50 more, $20 more. And I'm going to be honest, this is no disrespect. New Yorkers didn't need to go other places, and learn from others. No, 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 no. Growing up in New York as a young kid and as a young teenager or as a young man or as a young woman, you had to be smart. You had to be wise. You had to be like witty. You had to be on point, you know? So even with like our homegrown entertainers, like a lot of them, like shout out to all of them, R.I.P. to Biggie, R.I.P. to Pac, Little Kim, shout out to Kim, shout out to Foxy, shout out to Alicia Keys, Jay-Z, your crazy self, shout out to you, Nas, AZ, Big Pun, Cuban Link, Fat Joe, a lot of our New Yorkers, Havoc and Prodigy, R.I.P. Prodigy, Kool G Rap, DJ Sus One, DJ K Capri, R.I.P. DJ K Slay, Moni Love, Ed Lover, Angie Martinez, DJ Self, DJ Enough, DJ Camelo, DJ Absolute, Bobby Trends. That's New York for you. At a time where we had the airwaves with hip-hop music and rap music, where we control the airwaves in New York. Before this 105 and Hot 97 beef, don't matter what nobody say, Hot 97 controlled the airwaves in America and around the world when it came to hip-hop. Hot 97 will forever be in New York history of music and hip hop. Forget all the nonsense that happened by the station or in the station or around the station. We're talking about the good things when people used to come up to the station, actually get record deals. People used to wait in front of the station. Okay? Shout out to Papoose. You know, keep doing your thing, black man. For real. Much love to you, man. You know, keep doing your thing. Shout out to Remy. Love you for life. You know, it's fam. For real. Care what nobody say about Remy. I'ma always support Remy. I'ma always big Remy up. Think I became what these people say on the internet? Nah, at the end of the day, people talk a lot of trash, right? But if you have a conversation with her face to face, you'll understand and you'll overstand who she is as a woman or as a human being. But people just like to judge on this little crazy internet thing. But like they say, and I ain't talking about no negativity, Remy is a real one. Or people like to really mess people's names up and mess people's lives up over this internet. I don't care what's going on in people's personal lives. That's none of your business. That's why it's called personal. But people love to get personal nowadays with people. Growing up in New York City was on-the-job training. You got to learn how to survive in New York. Yeah, ain't no place like home. WBLS. Oh, and WBLS used to kick the reggae. Come on, man. WBLS used to kick the reggae. You know? I forgot the other station. But I don't know if they was stationed in New York, you know, 107.5, you know. Man, Bobby Condas, yeah, Bobby Condas is a legend, man. I'll give you a funny joke, real life, you know. Jabba stole my umbrella, you know. You know, but nah, man, Bobby Condas and Jabba, man, shout out to them. Oh, Z100, they used to be up there, because I remember even, like, this is real New York. I remember, like, I used to listen to Hot 97 a lot, you know, and that used to be honest with you, the radio station I listened to the most in New York, or I would listen to 1010 Wins, you know, AM. You know, because I grew up listening to that, like, when we used to, like, go to sleep when we was kids, me and my brother, you know. So, I don't know, I guess it just, like, drew in my mind, you know, and it's still in my mind where I grew up listening to, like, 1010 Wins, you know, and that's New York, too, because, shoot, like, 1010 Wins woke a lot of people up in New York over the years, you know, like, that woke, like, I seen that wake my father up in the morning when we was kids, where me and my brother, when we used to have to go to, like, car shows with him, they'll wake up, like, probably 6:30 or something. Next thing you know, I wake up, like, 7 o'clock, but my pops and them, they done woke up, they did listening to the radio, they heard it, they up, you know, so, nah, 1010 Wins is, like, a lot of families grew up listening to 1010 Wins in New York and around the world, in, you know, places that could get that AM station. And, you know, like, even, like, to say this, like, I don't care what nobody say. Summertime in New York, I'm gonna say it again. Summertime in New York is like a world in itself. Okay? It's like a world in itself, summertime in New York. Because, like, the pools is open, you know, but before people was really going to pools like that, we had the fire hydrant, you know, in buckets, you know, like, for real, like, we had buckets and fire hydrants, you know, and like the silver can, you know. For the silver can, you know, that's to make the water go high or steer the water which way you want to go to where the car, you know. Like, the fire hydrant is very much a staple too in New York history, you know, because no matter which block you was on, if you had a fire hydrant, you know you had to get that fire hydrant on, you know. You had to get that fire hydrant on when, like, what is it, when June 21st came around? You had to get that, and even, to be honest with you, like around June 15th, you know, like, you had to get that fire hydrant on in that neighborhood. And that water was gonna be flowing through that block. You know how people ain't care. They bust that fire hydrant open and that water just there flowing through the block. Some people used to walk in the water, you know, and that was fun in New York City in the summer, you know. And then if you want to talk about like New York City for the summer when 4th of July came around, shoot. I guess we celebrated more than the Marines and stuff, you know, in New York, because in New York, when it comes 4th of July, let's just be honest. A lot of us is not caring about 1776. We just popping fireworks off in New York and we barbecuing and partying. That's what New Yorkers do on 4th of July. And some people don't go to sleep. Nah, some people ain't going to sleep. People partying up all night. You know, you get more charcoal, you get more ice, you know, you burn more cess, and everybody's still up, you know. That's New York for you. You know, like, and then when you hit Labor Day, come on, come on, come on. You know, Labor Day you had, like, yeah, it's a Caribbean parade, but everybody come out for Labor Day. Everybody. Everybody come out for Labor Day. In New York City, Brooklyn, Eastern Parkway. Okay? Everybody come out in Brooklyn for Labor Day. And so I remember when I was a kid going to Labor Day, shoot. It was fun, you know, like it died down over the years, you know, like the older you got, the more it died down, you know, cause like the older you got, the more fights used to happen, the more shootouts, you know, and it got more corny. You know, it got more corny, you know, like I wouldn't want to talk about the bad things that happened on Labor Day. I'll just talk about the good things, you know, like, but it was good, you know, because on Labor Day, when you walk down Eastern Parkway, you know, like, you see people from when you was a kid, you know, you see people you ain't seen in years. And that's the good thing about Brooklyn, you feel me? Like, that's the good thing about Brooklyn on Eastern Parkway. When Labor Day came around, yo, when you was growing up, you see people you ain't seen in 10 years. You see people, like, that came from all over the place, you know, just to come to Brooklyn to enjoy Juve and Labor Day, you know, and just to, like, you know, enjoy being in New York with their family members and stuff, you know. Hold on. Summertime in New York ain't no place like that in the world. You're right, man. I'm going to Labor Day this year. I'm still contemplating, but I think I'm gonna go. I don't live in New York, so I'm going this year. Nah, you know, and to me, I don't think there's no parade that could ever top that parade in New York. You know, cause You see every island. You know, you see every island, and I swear, man, shout out to all my islands, for real. I love all my island people deeply and forever, cause one thing when Labor Day come around, like the goodness about it, yo, like I don't care whether if you stop at the Puerto Rican spot, stop at the Dominican spot, stop at the St. Thomians, the Trinidadian, the Guyanese, like everybody there selling food, shirts, headbands, like sweat, like yo, man, ain't nothing like that, you know, and they be trying, like, you know, those people be trying to stop it, you know, but you gotta let the parade go on, you know, you gotta let the culture go on, and you gotta keep on going on, you know, cause don't matter what nobody say, though, that's one day where, forget about the bad stuff, but that's one day where you see a lot of people come together, you see a lot of people sing, you see a lot of people jump up, you see steel pan, you know, you see soca, calypso, reggae, dancehall, like everybody just like having fun, you know, people living, man, and you could get like some of the best food, you know, some saltfish patties, some Johnny cake, some fish, you know, coconut water, you know, like mangoes, like get some of the best stuff, you know, yeah, like Labor Day, ain't nothing like Labor Day, man. Bruh. Then people used to throw after parties, you know, the after party used to be good too. You know, because that's when, like, everybody leave the parade, like, around 7 o'clock or so. And then you just go to a little after party and you be chilling, you know? You be chilling, like, that's New York for you, you know? Like, shit. Our schools, mm, they're schools, you know, like it ain't nothing like growing up in the New York City school too, you know, cause you're gonna have your bumps and bruises, but it's like going through gladiator school in New York, you know, like you better be smart, you better be tough, and you better be wise, you know, cause ain't nobody playing with you, you know, ain't nobody playing with you. It's like you in the jungle, you know, and that's how it is in public schools in New York, as you will call them, you know, high schools, you know, but teach you, you know, because New York City kids is like, I wouldn't be biased and say, oh, I was super duper smart, but now in New York City, a lot of kids in New York City schools are very intelligent, you know, from back then and now. You know, like, don't study the stupid stats that they put up on, you know, the news or in the newspapers. Like, one thing, they always lying about their stats, you know, and it's just like with a lot of things, you know, of, you know, New York City when they board in, you know, always put a little, you know, educational tab into it. Like years ago when they started what people call gentrification, like, I'm gonna say this. New York City is predominantly black and Latino. If you don't want to own your community or you don't want to look to protect your community, let me tell you, man, it's bigger than your feelings. This is money, okay? It's bigger than your feelings. This is money. Okay? Businesses come in and out every day. And we are a top business place in the world. So when you see people moving in and people moving out, this and that, it's business. It's not personal. You know? Because, yeah, there's a lot of places in New York that's cleaned up. But you have to really look at things in New York that you would really want to keep. If you want to keep them, you have to look around and you have to see what you have to do to keep them. Because if you don't look around and see what you have to do to keep them, they would be gone. They would be gone. Gone, gone, gone. You know? No, in New York, it's still good, because we have good foods. We have a lot of different cultures in New York. A lot of different cultures. And yes, it is a melting pot in New York. Over 8 million people. But you know what? I love that melting pot. I love that melting pot. I love that gumbo pot. I love that mixed up pot. Whether you want to call it a vegetable pot, whatever you want to call it. But I love New York. And it's a great place, like, I wouldn't let nobody, put a black eye on New York, because you'll probably just be talking from your feelings, but if you're from there, yes, you may talk what you feel because you live there and you understand what's going on in the city. But if you're a person that doesn't live in New York and never lived in New York before, nah, you're just really judging. But if you ever want to come to New York, go to New York. Enjoy New York. We are nice people. New Yorkers are respectable. We are. We may talk different than some people, but we are respectable. We may come off a little, as people say, aggressive, but no. It's all something for you to understand, for real, because New Yorker could be your best friend one day. Could be your best buddy. It's a great place, As I say, you got the Brooklyn Bridge. You got Yankee Stadium. Even though our Meadowlands Stadium for the Jets and Giants is in Jersey, that's still our stadium, But that's another problem for another year or whatever. But until further notice, our Giants are in Jersey. But Jersey is like our cousins. But, we got Madison Square Garden, MSG, where the Knicks play. We got Yankee Stadium, where the Yankees play. Bronx Zoo's still shaking. For real. Bronx Zoo ain't never, what's the name? Ain't never fade away. I don't remember the year the Bronx Zoo was open, but the Bronx Zoo been open for a good while. And it's still shining. I'll be biased too. I say it's probably the best zoo in the United States. I'll be biased because it's in the Bronx. But come on, people come from different places. to come to the Bronx Zoo, you know. People come from different places around the world to come to the Bronx Zoo in America, you know. And that is certain people, you know, tourist attraction when they come to New York. They want to see the Bronx Zoo. They want to go to the Brooklyn Bridge. They want to see the Statue of Liberty. You know, New York, we still shine, man. The light is still lit in New York. I ain't like, yeah, they knock our buildings down, but we still stand strong. New York is still one of the greatest. For real. Thank you for everybody that joined this live. Much love to New York. Let's go, New York.